Bryce Young has called off all remaining pre-draft visits. The hay is in the barn.
It's over.
And there was a point, Chris, where I thought that David Tepper, the owner of the Panthers, was just doing the NFL a solid by creating some uncertainty as to what they're going to do. Nope. Sorry, Roger. There's no magic. There's no surprise. When you walk out to the podium 9 days from now and you start to move your mouth, there's not going to be anybody who's holding their breath because they know the name that is coming out. With the first pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select Bryce Young, Alabama. Book it, literally, because now it's ping pong. He was the favorite. Then it's C.J. Stroud after the Panthers move up to number 1. And then gradually, it's Bryce Young. Now he's the overwhelming favorite. As of yesterday, BetMGM had him at minus 2,000. 20-1 against. 1-20, right? That's how that goes,
yes,
I think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't bet. 1-20. I mean, this guy is the overwhelming favorite to be the first overall pick in the draft. You got to bet 20 to win 1, I think is how that works. You got to bet 20. You got to put 20 on the line to win a buck.
Right.
That's how steep it is.
Yeah, it's a lock. I'm with you. I mean, first off, just when you cancel pre-draft visits and all of that, right? Somebody's told them we're taking you, so that's why they're going. Well, cancel them because you wouldn't cancel them because I'm sure there's plenty of teams there that would go, wait, hey, we might trade up or we might get in the top 2 or 3, so we want to visit. So he's been told number 1's taking him. That's all. That's the only reason you cancel it, because everything else is still up in play. So that told you all you need to know right there. I'm not shocked by it either. I'm not. I'm a little surprised in the fact of, like we started this conversation a month ago, Frank Reich and his history of quarterbacks with a guy like this, but damn, this is still a special football player. You know, I have my concerns. He's not my cup of tea, but I know there's some really special attributes for sure. And, you know, he has that charisma and that $1 million smile, and he also has a pizzazz and a showmanship about how he plays that I would think a guy like David Tepper would jump onto in a hurry. So, hey, it's cool. It's cool that we got a guy like this. He's different. It's not your prototypical, first pick of the draft type of look or body or whatever else. But, yeah, all signs point to Bryce Young, first pick of the draft, Alabama, Carolina Panthers, and we'll see where it goes from there. Mike, here's the other thing, and I don't know if there's one other thing. What I'm finding interesting, too, here is number 2. There's just a lot of rumors about pick number 2 going on in the NFL right now from people that, again, I trust. I'm not just like, oh, hey, it's Johnny the Jerk who writes an article every now and then. People I talk to go, hey, we were hearing this, and we think there's, some conversations in this building in Houston, and they seem to be having a little bit of a convo about who to pick there, too.
Well, the odds currently from FanDuel have Will Anderson from Alabama, the pass rusher, as the favorite to go number 2 at plus 190.
Yeah.
Will Levis is at plus 270, ahead of C.J. Stroud at plus 340. And Tyree Wilson from Texas Tech is also at plus 340. Will Levis, and I've heard people say he may not even be taken in round 1. Well, somebody's got it wrong here.
Right.
Because Will Levis is now favored to go instead of Stroud to the Texans. That doesn't mean that Stroud won't be taken before Levis. It's just somebody's gotten the information that the Texans, if they're going to go quarterback, are more likely to go Levis than Stroud. So there's a chance that the Colts will have their choice of C.J. Stroud, Will Levis, Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
Unless somebody trades up to number 3 with the Cardinals or up to number 2 with the Texans. We'll talk about that in a second.
Right.
But it's as we get closer and closer, it's settling in. Bryce Young is clearly number 1, and maybe there isn't going to be this run on quarterback right out of the gates.
No.
Maybe it is going to go the other way.
I'm all about listening to the betting markets. I mean, as we learned last year, I mean, they were kind of like, bam, on the money. And so when Bryce Young...
Not with Malik Willis.
Not with Malik Willis.
Malik Willis is the favorite to be the first quarterback taken.
But
and when did he go? He was third.
The top 5 picks of the draft, they had pretty close. That's all I was trying to say. But you're right. They were a little off on the quarterbacks for sure. But so I do pay attention. With the Bryce Young thing too, that's such an aggressive swing that means multiple people know the betting markets know, the casinos know. This is where I'll say the year's different, is that I think there's still a lot of teams in the top 10, 12, like not sure exactly what direction they want to go yet, right? It's a year where there's not a ton of blue chip players. So, we all have like, oh, wait, hey, this team wants to trade down. And, there's a part of me that now I'm getting done with the draft and I want to go, trade down. Okay, cool. But this is not the most talented draft. And like, this might be your only chance right here to get a really difference-making player. So you want to trade down and get some average, or you want to take a chance and get some great here? So that's where that's interesting. But my other thing, Mike, to the Houston at number 2, yeah, the rumor that's percolating around the NFL is that, yeah, maybe C.J. Stroud, but that there's a faction in the Houston Texans building that loves Tyree Wilson from Texas Tech, which I understand. Again, he's Myles Garrett. He's Nick Bosa. He's the Nick Bosa for this D'Amico Ryan defense. I get that. There's no way it'll be Will Anderson. He's not that type of guy. But Tyree Wilson, C.J. Stroud, that's a very interesting conversation. And like you said, it'll lend itself to, maybe some craziness at 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 as far as the quarterback frenzy goes.
And we have to factor in the personal experiences of D'Amico Ryans during his 2 years with the 49ers as defensive coordinator.
Right.
Year 1, what do? They give up 3 first-round picks and a third-round pick to get Trey Lance.
Right.
Last year, what do? With a flyer of all flyers, the last pick in the draft, they take Brock Purdy. And what does Purdy do? So what does that tell you about the quarterback position? If you're D'Amico Ryans, what lessons have you learned that you take forward in your career based upon what you learned during your 2 years as the defensive coordinator of the 49ers?
That's right.
I think that would cause – and remember when he said
all the pressure stuff, right?
The number two pick, the savior of the franchise, it just felt like, and we were saying it in the context of talking about Jeff Okudah, who was the 3rd pick at corner for the Lions, and it didn't work out. The pressure on a guy who doesn't generate stats to justify his draft status, and how much it can screw a guy up when there really isn't that obvious reason why. There isn't that thing you're doing every week, unlike a quarterback, that proves why you were taken so high. It just felt like, is he trying to lay the foundation for it to be a non-quarterback? And here we are, where it feels like it very well could be a non-quarterback. I go ahead.
Well, as I say, here's the other that's interesting about it, too, is that they got picked 12, right, Mike? So they could go... if your board is like this, and like I'm saying, I think Tyree Wilson's viewed as the man, as the edge. I don't think that's like a shock. I think that. I know a few people in the NFL that think that, and I have a hard time. It's one of those, Mike, where I'd go, I have a hard time thinking any defensive line coach is going to go, wait, this isn't by far the best pure edge pass rusher in the draft. I've been around the league for a long time, and he's that kind of guy like we're talking about. So, if you feel like he is the marquee pass rusher and there's a gap between him and whoever you have number 2, right? And let's say you got C.J. Stroud as your guy you take now that Bryce Young's off the board. But what if you got a quarterback like Hendon Hooker who's got like just a smidgen less of a grade as C.J. Stroud? You might go, you know what? We got to take Tyree at 2, and then let's maybe sit back in the weeds at 12 and wait for Hendon Hooker, and maybe we got to trade up a spot or 2 or whatever, or maybe we get our guy there. They have some flexibility because of that 12 pick too that can, lend them to go defense with number 2.
That's one of the challenges of the draft for every team. You've got all the different positions thrown into the same pot, and the idea is, how big is the gap between the guy at this position and the next guy?
Right.
And can we, when you go dollar for dollar draft value, can we wait until later and get somebody who isn't much below the guy we could take now at a different position? So, if you're getting a guy that you think is transformational, generational, incredible talent, going to come in and be a Nick Bosa, and you can get a quarterback who may not be much worse than the guy that you would otherwise take, that's what complicates the process.
Exactly right.
That's what can be conducive to overthinking it. But at some point, it's also very simple. Just take the best guy. Take the guy that you think is going to come in and transform your team, whatever position he plays.
Yeah, that's right. And that to me is goes back to the question that you're talking about. Is that do they look at it as the quarterback or the defensive end that does that more to what you're talking about? Like, does the defensive end and DeMeco Ryans' defensive eyes and brain, he go, wait, that changes our team? And like you said, I was with the 49ers, and we didn't have a top-tier quarterback, and we went to, the Super Bowl and 2 NFC championship games? Or is it, the vice versa there? But, yeah, they got some things they can play with here. And then I think when you add that into, what they're doing at the top of the second round, as far as those picks there, they got, some wiggle room as far as what they can do with pick 212 and, what they want to do in the first round. It should be exciting to see. They're definitely a team I got my eye on with these rumors at number 2 and, of course, them needing a quarterback as well.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.